Hi, welcome everybody to SilverStreak's first discussion. I'm Kannan, Chandran, the editor of SilverStreak.sg. So as we've already heard what the site is about, you get a sense that it's for the silver generation to try and make the most of life that carries on in front of you. So don't look at how short your runway is, but how much you can get out of what lies ahead of us, right? So, I think for a lot of people, when you were planning retirement back in the day, you were thinking, oh, it'll be like this, I will save up this amount of money, I will have my house, I will go traveling. And then you forget to you realize that things like inflation and pandemics and issues of that nature kick in, and they can disrupt your whole plan. So how do you then figure things out now? So the topic for today's discussion is, trying to look for the gold in the silver, right? How the silvers can turn their life into maybe a bit more golden opportunities. And so with that in mind, we've got a set of panelists here who are, rich vein of silvers to tap onto to get golden nuggets of wisdom from them, right? So part of this process, of course, is also to get your questions as we have the discussion. We're talking to them about their life, their roles, what they hope to do. And meanwhile, you might have some ideas that come up, so feel free to get into those things as well. And for the Facebook audience, this is live streaming out to them. You can send in your questions as well and your thoughts if you have any. Right. So our panelists for the discussion on turning silver into gold, we have Laletha Nithiyanandan, who turned silver into golden opportunities. Right. She is the executive director at the BOP Hub, that's the base of Pyramid Hub. I will get them to talk a bit more about what they do. Let me just do a very quick introduction of each of them. And for those of you who may have come here thinking you really want to figure out how to turn silver into gold, we have Chiwi. Chiwi turned silver into golden returns, right? He's the CEO of PreceptsGroup International. And cultural medallion winner, and Jeremy Monteiro, well-known and very highly regarded musician, jazz musician, he turns silver into golden sounds, right? So Jeremy is also the executive director of Showtime's Productions, and he's got a whole series of shows lined up. He's celebrating his 45th year in the industry, and he's got a show next weekend, right? Okay, so welcome all of you, our panelists, to this session. I just want to ask, as you reach the stage where you're considered a silver, how do you react to it, and what are your thoughts about the way forward? Let's start with you, Lisa.
For me, it's when I realized it's silver. Of course, the hair itself.
You have hair.
Yeah, that's true. I feel that for me, when I work and things like that, I don't know my age. I don't see myself in the mirror, but it's the reaction of other people, when they first start calling you auntie, or when people start carrying your bags, and you think, oh, I must look old to them, in some way. So, and for me, it's a time for bringing everything together to consolidate, and also for me, it's like aging with grace and having gratitude for everything, and practicing generosity of spirit, because it's very humbling to realize that the time you have left in the planet is a lot less than the time you have spent here. So for me, that's very important.
Chiwi?
Well, for me, I can't think of retirement. I just need to get myself kept occupied in something. So like during the COVID, it's a little bit like a test case. What is it like to be sitting at home, not able to go out, and then being kind of stuck? And I realized that wasn't for me. I needed to continue to find ways of going out and doing things, keeping myself occupied. Otherwise, I think it's really like being imprisoned in some ways if I'm not going to be engaged in something.
Especially during the COVID period, I think
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of people were
test case for those who are looking to like, okay, I'm going to retire, not having to go to work. But then that's really like, it showed the sign that, no, not ready for that quite yet.
Jeremy, comment yourself. You're a very busy man.
So actually, I find that other than the painful knees and the reduction in physical ability, my mind and my spirit is just the same as it has been for in the last 25, 30 years. And so, and also because as you said that we have spent more time on the planet than we have left. There's a sense of urgency. What is it that I haven't accomplished yet in terms of my music, for example? And so then, what do I do now? What do I just forget about it and just say, no, I have no time left in this, whatever, 10, 20, 30 years I have left if I'm lucky. And actually now the choices of dropping things and focusing on things that are realistic and important to me to accomplish is really becoming my focus.
So it's a case of prioritizing now, right?
Yes.
You're probably a lot stricter about how you prioritize your activities based on the amount of time you have available in the day.
Yes.
Right. So does that apply to all of you?
Yeah, strong boundaries. You don't really care so much about what somebody else thinks so much, but more about what score, whether it aligns with who you are.
It's about, keeping interacted with people and all that. I think COVID can be quite lonely if you just stuck at home. So you needed to go out and have a meal with someone and all that. And there were all those restrictions which made it difficult. But the moment they kind of let go of the restrictions, it was like, wow, I'm the first to go out.
Quick off the mark. Yes.
Right. I mean, otherwise it's just on the phone, on the WhatsApp. That's not social interaction.
But imagine if you didn't have the modern technology. Imagine if this happened without the internet, without mobile phones, and you were locked away. It would be a very different scenario.
Difficult to imagine.
So we should be thankful for some of the technology that's come through and enabled us to still continue communicating. And we've also got people who may be in other parts of the world. And so it's at least we can still talk to them, right? So people found opportunities in some of this. I think the likes of Zoom and all have made quite a decent scaling out of it. So they've seen the opportunities there, right? So for our generation, for the silvers going out there, where are the opportunities to get some of that gold that we talk about? Where, in your case, Chiwi, you with your trusts, would you like to explain a bit about trusts and how that works?
Yeah, well, okay, some background. I was a lawyer for some 16 years before I went into this space. So for the last 15 years, I've been helping clients look at their legacy plans and what they should be doing with their money, assuming something happened to them today. And there are plentiful of reasons how you should ensure that money goes to their children at the right time, at the time when they are mature enough to receive it. And certainly we cannot ignore having monies for ourselves and our spouses at a time where the children may well be independent, they have their own housing loans to take care of, they're not going to be helping you out so much, so we need our financial independence. And then of course, with longevity, we don't know when our time may come. And if you look at the obituaries these days, it's like, wow, people in the 90s who pass on and it's becoming more commonplace. So with what you have left, CPF and the house, what's the kind of plan that you should be looking at to ensure that you have enough for yourself, enough to provide for the next generation, maybe you're thinking of grandchildren. So that kind of stuff keeps me pretty well occupied because in the course of what I do, I meet with all kinds of family situations, and it makes life pretty interesting.
Lisa, for yourself, you're with BOP. That's Jack Sims. Was that?
Yeah, but I actually wear a few hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so
I'd like to talk a bit more about some of those.
I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 20. So I've always been involved in some business or another. Right now, I run a behavioral consulting company using behavioral science principles to help companies improve performance and productivity. So I work with SMEs and MNCs. So that really keeps my brain ticking. And then I volunteer with two organizations. One is the BOP Hub, where it's called the Base of the Pyramid Hub. We help to orchestrate and design solutions to lift people from the base of society. Because if they lift higher, all of us do better. And I also am the advisor of the Asian Institute of Mentoring. So I facilitate and create mentoring solutions for that. So it's pretty full on.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff, quite diverse as well.
Yes.
But what is the reaction to, I guess people will come to you who want your advice, but in sort of a general context, you find there's an attitude where the younger generation may feel, what do you know about our space and our period? Are your ideas too old-fashioned? Are they relevant? Do you get that sort of feedback?
Sometimes, the first initial reaction is that, but once we start talking, the whole thing changes. But if there's anybody who does that, it would be my children.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay, Jeremy, for yourself, music, all these years, you've got your own company, but you've also dabbled in a few other things, right? So, what was the reason for wanting to do that?
I think primarily at my core, I'm a musician. I'm a pianist, jazz pianist, and a composer, and a producer. I think that if I didn't have that, nothing else that I do would matter. So, Showtime Productions, my company, has become more a business vehicle for my musical exploits, really. For the time being, although we're trying to find a way to reinvent it and see where we can go with the company going forward, such that after I slow down or even exit, that the company will still be a going concern. The other thing that's very important in my life, takes up more than half my bandwidth, is running the Jazz Association Singapore, which is a charity that tries to uplift the level of jazz and the appreciation of jazz across the whole country. And besides just the art making, the two orchestras we run, we also have a scholarship program, and now we have in school and graduated 9 scholars already in the space of 5 years, graduating both in the US as well as in Singapore. And we work with children with autism or Down syndrome and try to collaborate with them on presentations. And as well as during COVID, we set up a crisis fund for jazz musicians, and we dispersed 21 times to almost as many people who were having some type, there was no work for musicians during COVID. So that's just a few of the things that Jazz Association does. 60% is art making, 40% is our very strong community work.
And you've also got interest in a restaurant?
Yeah, so I started a jazz bar with my friend Adrian Young of the Tin Box Group. We opened it on November 21st, 2021, and that very night I went back, turned the TV on, and CNN announced Omicron. I was like, oh. Thankfully, we have a great chef, so the food business, the restaurant business kept it going. We started live music about 3 months ago. We're doing quite well now. We're moving to a bigger space in just having been here since November, but moving to space that's 3 times larger for a couple of reasons. One is a quieter space, and also the fact that we have reservations sometimes 2 weeks in advance. So this way, people can actually try and walk in and perhaps find a seat. And then next thing we're doing is in October, early October, we're opening Simply Jazz in Kuala Lumpur.
Okay, so that's full on. I mean, you all sound like you've got very loaded plates. Did you ever at one point think, oh, I'll slow down at some point? Or is what you're doing now your plan?
I think I'm busier now than I was younger, and I have a wider, bigger circle of friends.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot more, meeting people and things like that. So I kind of wonder, but then I thought, go with the flow, and I enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah, I think you need to enjoy what you do. And, for me, it's like continuing to meet new people, and it's give it a listening ear to people. So when you start doing that, then you hear what the situations are and the problems that they face with their family members, children issues, and all that. And I guess that makes it really interesting. So I'm not really like trying to push for anything, but go with the flow. Yeah.
I think in some of my earlier discussions with others, one of the things that came up was the fact that there were a lot of people who had planned for retirement, and then since all these, the inflation, the war, the pandemic, everything kicked in, and prices started going up, cost of living starts going up. Many are living on what he called yesterday's money, right? And they don't have jobs. It was more difficult to get jobs. So how did you find that as something that's taking place amongst your peers, for instance? Are they facing that situation? And what do they hope to, how do they hope to overcome that?
I've heard of some of my friends who have been retired, they have come back into the job market. They've had their stint out, enjoying a bit of retirement, taking walks every day and doing stuff that they didn't really have a chance. But after a while, they feel they got energized again, and they're back getting into something or getting involved in something. And the opportunities for this and that is plentiful. And if you take your time to look out for opportunities, I'm sure in the workspace we have a shortage of manpower somehow. And I think for all the experiences that you have, there's something that you could get involved with alongside looking after grandchildren and stuff like that.
When I deal with people, because of the mentoring space that I'm in as well, it's important to not just try to find money to solve the problem, but I think if people sort of dig deep a little bit and see what inspires them, what's their purpose, then it makes sense. And I often tell people that if you can't find a job, it's okay, just remain in circulation, go and volunteer, get out and meet people. And a lot of times, because you have this wealth of experience, you can offer that, and somewhere along the way you create a job as well, if that's what they want to. But for me, I always think that business is the best thing you can do if you want to be independent of anybody and financially as well.
So it's doing your own thing, right? That's what they say. So to be in control and you understand what's going on. You're not at the mercy of other people and an organization.
Yeah.
Do you find ageism is something that more people are facing? There's a lot of young people also coming into the workforce. And the view is that if you're older, well, you don't have the stamina, you'll find a lot of excuses not to show up to work, etc. It's slow.
I come from the work world, my previous background. So I think if you want to go back into the workforce at a certain age, like after 50, you need to look at what you can offer and perhaps be willing to take a boss who may be less experienced than you, may not have all the skills than you, but also be willing to do other things, other than staying within that box and saying these are my skills. So be willing to learn, open up your world, but also maybe do some lesser jobs and I find actually when I hire a retiree, they don't have this hunger to like want to climb. They don't want to play politics. They just want to do the job and they want to do a good job. They're quite committed. So I think there are employers who appreciate that as well.
So it might be good to start a company and have all retirees in there. No politicking, so climbing on the ladder and just get down and do your work.
Except for some health issues sometimes. Yeah.
So got a few questions that have come in. Let me just address one of them. What advice would you give yourself 10, 20 years ago?
Slow down.
From 10 to slow down?
Yeah, because I think I overdid it. And then actually, in reverse, when you said you didn't enjoy the COVID being in, I really enjoyed it. Because it was like really a good time for me to regroup and look at what I want to do. And then I thought, why did I do all of those things? When I could have just gone and done some of the things that I really, really want to do. So it helped me to refocus on the things what's important to me.
So you would have liked to have started your prioritizing 10, 20 years.
Yeah. I was one of those people I give birth. 1 week later, I was at work. Because I always thought like I'm superhuman. I can do everything with my mind, But then you realize as you get older, it's more humbling, And then so I think I would have, not been so driven. I would have been a little bit more. Eventually, get there anyway.
Yes. Well, for myself, 20 years ago, I think that I had a midlife career switch. I was in a law firm doing the usual kind of legal work, and I switched over to this area of estate planning and trust, and it was still very legal, except that we were probably spending a lot more time understanding the client situation than just to do the regular legal work. So I enjoyed that switch over, using my skill sets from what I've learned in the previous 16 years. So for since I switched over, I've not really looked back and regretted any moment of moving on to something new. So to sum it up, I think there are always opportunities. It may take you 20 years from the start of your career to find something that you enjoy working in and wanting to carry on. That's like what I feel right now. I just want to continue to engage.
So be patient, is that what you're saying?
Be patient, listen, look out, meet with lots of people, and I think opportunities will come knocking. And be sensitive to it, obviously.
So you, Jeremy?
I think for me, it's I'm glad I learned it. Better late than never. I think it was Kafka who said that most of the ills of humanity are caused by people not being able to just sit quietly in a room every once in a while, or words to the effect. And I think that the inability to stay in the present, focus in the present moment when I was younger, was the reason why I was very scattered in my energy and my focus. I didn't have enough focus. And now, I mean, just like now, like sitting down with all of you here, and understanding that that we only can dwell in one place in the present, right? The future is imagination, the past is memory, and the only thing that's real is us sitting here, being together here, and being able to dwell in what I call, and others have called, the eternal now, because whether you're 50 or 70, the only place you can ever be is in the eternal now, as long as we're on the planet. So having learned that skill has allowed me to actually, strangely enough, do more, be more active, and in that stillness. I mean, you think about hurricane, right? I mean, it's so much destruction going on, but you think about the eye of the hurricane. If we can mentally just try to put our consciousness within this eye of the hurricane, even if we are creating havoc around us. I think that's a skill that I only learned now, and I wish I learned it 15, 20 years ago.
I have a question, which is when you're playing music, you're always in the now, right?
Exactly.
You cannot be anywhere
We cannot be anywhere else.
Yeah. So that's actually a gift, isn't it?
Yes,
For
exactly.
you.
Yeah.
Everybody should take up an instrument. And
Why not?
play around. Okay. Yeah. One other question is, what advice would you give to people to find causes to support? So you are into a lot of causes that you support and help and volunteer causes. CAUSES.
Okay.
Causes.
So what's the question?
How can people find causes to support?
I think it has to come from what you're interested in, whether it's animals or people or self-development or music or, so something that pulls at your heart and you feel strongly about, and something that can wake you up. You can get up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do this tomorrow, I'm going to do this for the next 10 years. So I think that's what it is.
We talked earlier about social enterprises like impact investing,
Yeah.
and that's probably a good area to benefit the less privileged who may otherwise not be able to secure something. And like what I said, I think there are probably a lot of things if you actually were more observant and took time to look at some of the problems that probably exist, and is there an angle that you could help?
And there are plenty of, there's a lot of money for social enterprises right now, social entrepreneurs. So if someone has, like you see a problem and you want to fix it and you collaborate with a group of people to see how you're going to do this and solve this problem, and you help the community, but you also help yourself. So social enterprises is something very close to my heart.
I think we're really very much in infancy of this social enterprise. We see some, but I think compared to other societies, we can do a lot better.
Jeremy, you support quite a few causes. I mean, how did you go about deciding that these would be the causes you would go with?
I think that primarily, if there's any kind of altruism I have practiced, and mainly getting people to donate money because I have no money when I do these causes. It's been focused pretty much on arts and music. And of course, that whole debate about the non-essential artists back last year, which I thought was very funny. Because why is it that, when 2020 it was reported that charity giving had gone up tremendously, but a lot of it had gone to charities for the needy, and I very much agree that a lot of that money needs to go to the needy. But why arts is so important, why music is so important, I think is because when all of us, I don't think any of us don't listen to music. And why do we like listening to music? I think it's because it somehow energizes us and creates a kind of vibrational thing within us, whatever music, like classical or pop or jazz. And that vibrational thing, I believe, creates a physiological response that allows you to then, just like walking the park, excrete dopamines, right? So you start to get dopamines in your system, and you feel very good, you feel calm, you feel that life is good. And that's why I think music is very important. And that's why I think that people should consider, besides giving help to the needy, which is of course very important, to also consider helping arts groups for the music or the art that you like, because artists and musicians play a very important role in our lives.
And some artists take a bigger risk and they're quite needy too.
Yeah.
So they need money.
Yeah, true.
Do you in any way create opportunities for servers to be engaged, to develop work or projects, for instance?
Sometimes, depending on the project, we profile to see the sort of person that we need to do something, and we are not, we don't look at age or sex, color, whatever, it just like who's the right person for it. I tend to personally lean towards silvers because I find that, like what all the reasons I told you earlier, where I find they're quite committed.
I think that's very true. I got my cousin to come out and help me on the project. So it is mid-60s, and he relished the opportunity. So there are probably lots of people out there who are retired, but they are happy to help out in some way. And I'm very glad that he stepped forward as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like with the work I do with the Jazz Association, we have focused primarily on youth, but and then we're also doing a Jazz for Children program coming up. But what we're also going to do is a Jazz for Seniors, because there are many retired singers and musicians who I think that if there's a chance to bring them out, and some of them still practice. You see them on Facebook practicing their instruments. So I think some of them are good enough, still professional level, and get them out to perform. And so Jazz for Seniors is important. And the other thing that's very important globally, I think even the United Nations recognizes this, and that is intergenerational projects are very important, because then you won't, you see how the grandchildren and the grandparents, usually it's the middle, the parents that are, not so necessarily close to the very older people, and sometimes there's as the natural conflict that happens between children and parents. But you notice that the children and grandparents relationship is always very, very good, right? Some of us didn't know how to be good parents, but may not be good grandparents. But intergenerational projects is something that Jazz Association and I are looking to bring people of different ages together. And I think then that way, I think ageism will also be reduced if people actually get to hang out and work and enjoy socially, but also work together. It's very important.
And reverse mentoring, where you have younger people mentoring older ones.
Yes.
I suppose that's part of staying in touch with what's going on there.
Yeah.
Staying relevant as well. It's quite important. With some sort of like a bank of silver talent be something worth considering.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Create the opportunities to then develop projects and programs for this group. But of course, you can always include others. At least give the silvers an opportunity.
Yeah. Toyed with it a few times now.
And
Still thinking how to make it work. Yeah.
okay. So Jeremy, your point just now about grandparents and grandchildren, revenge parenting, right? There's a question here: how can silvers continue to guide and educate their children who have already grown up? So you've got a grown up.
Yeah, I've got a grown-up boy, he's 38 years old. And I know we were just talking about at the dinner table the other day how our relationship is between my wife and my son is probably better than it has ever been. And partly it's because we stopped being so often kind of a naggy parent, at least me, at least so. But my wife's not watching. But the thing is that but the thing is that I think it's very important to form these friendships with your children, and that's really what's going to take you through, to your old age and build. I think the biggest ability I've learned as I grow older is to know when to keep my mouth shut. Because I think very often, we it's not that we shouldn't say things that need to be said when they need to be said, but very often something happens and then there's this knee jerk that you're going to open your mouth and say, shut up.
That's true. I'm learning that now with my children.
Yeah.
And it's like
How old are you?
25 and 27. They're adults, young adults. And I can see that the trajectory is not a good one sometimes.
Yeah.
And in the past, in fact, even when I was in Brisbane, I got into an argument with my son. And I said, why do I do that for? Because there's no need.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm learning exactly that.
Yeah.
Still learning. To be a friend rather
Yes,
than
exactly.
to be the parent. Because
Yeah.
you can't be after a certain age.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we become friends. I've got a single daughter, 25. Going on to get married this year. In fact, next month. So it's all the issues with the wedding preparations and all that. So it's interesting for me to get into this situation. But we let the young couple make all the decisions. We tag along.
We support it.
Yeah, the ability to just go,
Who sits with who and all that. I think we leave it in a wise wisdom to go and figure out who sits with who.
I'm going to say
Yeah.
wisdom. I need your wisdom.
There are a lot of good things. I don't have these issues, seeing as I don't have any children. But yeah, so it's always good to hear from others how they cope with their children, because it's also, to some extent, learning how to deal with 20-somethings, 30-somethings.
I do very well there. It's just my children.
Talk to your children.
I think maybe other people say that as well.
I've got a question here for Jeremy. If an older person wants to learn music, how would you advise them to go about it?
So the beauty about music, sometimes people say that, I'm too old or my hands are getting stiff. And actually, I think your hands are getting stiff. If you learn to play the piano, so your hands will become less stiff. I believe so. And I have a friend, everyone knows her as Grandma Mary, right? Yeah. And she started, playing the guitar, rock guitar at the age of 60, or 59 or 60, and now 20 years later or more, she has a fulfilling hobby that's also a passion that she performs outside. And I think that it's never too late. You always dreamt about wanting to learn a music instrument, that you should do it. And take one step at a time. You need to do if you want to become a professional level, you need to do your 10,000 hours or so. But just start. You'll find that after a year, and you look back to how you did 1 year ago, that hey, I can do this much more than I did a year ago. And then 2 years, 3 years, you definitely be able to compare. Your abilities will definitely get better. So those of you who are thinking about picking up an instrument, whether you be in your 60s or 70s, I encourage you to just go for it.
Are there schools that cater to older classes?
There are schools, because for example, the London College of Music, which is a part of the University of West London, where I am a visiting professor, has got, besides the very serious graded series, they have leisure play, not so stressful, So you're really just doing it for leisure, that's what it says. And I think those programs, there are schools here, private schools that actually, where you can take the leisure play. There's still exams, but exams are only just there to sort of propel you rather than to stress you or bog you down. Because I think human beings, if you don't have someone slightly pushing you, a bit of wind behind you, lifting you a little bit, and a goal to attain, something to attain. I think instead of grade 1 to grade 8, they have 5 grades, and you can sort of take your time and do it across 10 years. So I encourage you to, why not, right? Grandma Mary's in her 80s now, right? And she's still, learning and playing, so why not?
I suppose it gives you purpose, and rather than just staring at the TV screen or Netflix.
And time flies. 2 years of it.
Yeah.
You just don't know that it's gone past.
Yes, absolutely.
Could have picked up the skill in the 2 years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Missed.
All right. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Jeremy, the point is that I tried learning instruments from piano to keyboard to drum. The problem is I can't read notes. That's why I stop. Every time after 3 months I stop. I love to play drums.
Yeah.
I tried 3 times and I just can't.
Well, reading notes is firstly, music is not a visual experience, it's actually an oral experience, right? So at the end of the day, if you can find a teacher, you just tell them, no, I don't really want to learn notes. I just want to learn to play the drums. And then you can actually just learn that way, learn with sound. The other thing is to be very patient with yourself. I mean, you grow a plant, you plant a seed, you cannot expect the next day you're flowering and all that, right? I mean, you have to accept that after take some time, there's nothing coming out of the soil, then pop, a little sapling. So you've got to be very patient with yourself to allow yourself to see the growth, so don't be in a hurry, don't be too hard on yourself.
I didn't know about this. Can you use the leisure way? Because the 3 months basically is read notes and saw and then you didn't start playing the drums.
No.
Just
And nowadays you can actually go on Facebook and say, I want to learn the drums. I'm not interested in learning notes. I just want to play drums to either just to beat out some rhythms or to vent my frustrations. Which is drums is a very good way to vent your frustrations, right?
And annoy the neighbors. So last few questions before we wrap up. Question: besides Facebook, what other social platforms do you use? Do we have? I don't know whether that's reference to SilverStreak or to. Okay, let's ask all of you here. What social platforms do you use? Social media.
All of them. I mean, no.
Same thing.
Not much on Facebook, really, but some. But yeah, with Instagram or TikTok, all of that.
Yeah.
YouTube.
LinkedIn, of course, for me.
Yeah, I know I sort of go on and off with LinkedIn, but I think that sometimes I will just open my email and say, you have 45 invitations, so I think I should pay a bit more attention to LinkedIn. Facebook, yes, because I think that the age group that I am dealing with, jazz fans, are mostly Facebook. But now more and more young people are wanting to learn jazz, and it's also an A-level subject now. So then the younger people are now getting interested to learn more. TikTok, I think I've only got 3 posts in 2 years now. I mean, I cannot get it. I can't. I love watching other people's, but I don't know what to.
I like to watch.
I don't know what to.
Yeah. I mean, I think as far as SilverStreak is concerned, we are on Facebook. I think it's an audience that perhaps engages best with us via that platform. TikTok might be a bit too young. Like you said, I'd like to watch, but to actually participate in it is something else. But we'll probably do some surveys down the line and see what platforms people would like to see us on, and then we can then decide accordingly. Okay, question here on what do you think Silvers have to offer the workforce? How to get along with younger people who find Silvers irrelevant and impatient? I look to you because
I think that we have to use the same rule as we do with our children. A big dose of humility. I've done it before in my time, but this time it's very different. So I think hear them out, hear what people have to say, what is the issue or what is the thing that we're trying to solve, and collaborate. And young people have a lot of good ideas. Sometimes they're too, they only want to use technology for even the simplest things when you can just call somebody. So we teach each other that,
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. I used to in my office to say, can you contact so-and-so and find out about this, and then I'll go off and come back and say, have you contacted so-and-so? Yes. What did they say? Oh, I'm waiting for their reply.
Yeah, and then WhatsApp nowadays, you find that you have to WhatsApp everybody. It's the only people around my age you can actually call out of the wild blue. You call young people, right? It's like you did home invasion on them. So I think that we need to bring back. No, the thing about it is that when we grow older, there are 2 ways we can go. One is we can become more crotchety and impatient, and another one is we learn to be more accepting and forgiving and understanding. And we have to be careful because it's our thoughts that lead us either way, And I think that we need to find a way. For those who've chosen the crotchety way, I encourage them to try to hold back. no, I cannot tahan these young people. No, we cannot say that, because really, if we don't learn how to be with young people and engage with them on a social as well as and understand where they are coming from, then after a while we start to feel very isolated in this world. I think it's important to find a way to be more understanding.
Having a sense of curiosity.
Yes. Yeah.
For me, it's like I'm really curious. I really want to know. So with that, it opens up a huge discussion, a connection.
Yes.
Well, in my own firm, I see people who are just in the 20s who join us, and all the way till people who are in the 60s. So I think the gradation of ages and different maturities, people in different life cycles, some with children, some are just pregnant, going to get the first child. What I see is that they can really gain from their fellow colleagues' experiences. So, if you have the diversity of ages and all that, right through from, it's a 40-year kind of space. And I haven't really seen many problems in that.
I think there's value to what Jeremy said about intergenerational. Doing that consciously making the effort to create that diversity in the workplace or in any kind of project that you're working. I think you bring such a depth of information and knowledge, makes it a lot richer.
I think we're all part of an ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
And we all have our part to play in it, and a lot of it comes from interacting with each other and trying to build stronger bonds. I think older generation, our generation as well contributed to it, has caused a lot of the global issues that we are facing. And that's going to be handed to the next generation. So we can't just say it's your problem. We are part of the problem as well. So I think we do need to accept that we have a role to play in all of this, and it's part of the whole ecosystem. Okay, so we're almost on time. So I just would like views from each of the panelists on this one question. What advice do you have for silvers to get some gold into their lives?
Let me see, do I know any good goldsmith or not? I think we all will naturally want to find a way to bring more meaning and joy to our own lives, and I think we just got to stay open, listen to people of all ages, allow ourselves to participate in different activities, go to concerts, go to art galleries, go check out a new restaurant. When we do more and more of these kind of things, we'll just find that life just becomes much more golden. Because we tend to also, because we can get a bit lazy when we get older also, right? It's harder to get us to go to have a shower and get out of the house, right? It's actually a bigger effort, right? But I think we need to try to occasionally push ourselves, get out there, and and like pick up the instrument you've always wanted to. I'm sure you'll be able to after a while.
Golf instead now.
Oh, that's a pretty golden thing to do as well. But I think that's pretty much it, in my opinion.
Chiwi? Well, I think you want to wake up every day, feeling that what's ahead for me today, and not like lie in bed after you wake up and start thinking, you need to wake up with the zest, and obviously that requires a little bit of planning, making appointments, and when you do that, you look forward to the day itself. That's okay, this is what we're going to do, I got to get ready, I got to get prepared, and I think that that kind of approach will make the day fulfilling, and make time to catch up with friends. I think we most of us might have put it in the back burner, right? And rediscover all those good memories and bonds, and have a good meal together. And I think that's how we could relish those good times previously, and even look forward to new things together.
getting out of bed. You want to get out of bed, and your joints tell you otherwise.
I think once in a while it's okay to stay in bed,
Yeah.
just not every day.
I think stay active. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very important at our age to go out and walk,
Yeah.
or do something, because it really activates your endorphins and gives you a positive mindset. To look out, look at the sun, go outside, and that self-regulation is very important because sometimes people become pessimistic or negative when you don't do that. And the other thing is, to really go out there and be curious, learn and do things, because that again also makes you feel good about yourself. I think the most important thing is to feel good about yourself first, and then from there it helps you to connect with the rest of the world. So nobody wants to talk to someone negative.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, Chiwi, and Laletha. A lot of insights, a lot of interesting perspectives, a lot of things that you can take away. I think part of this whole process is also an opportunity for us at SilverStreak to try and understand what are the issues that you'd like to have addressed. So feel free to write in to us, use the Facebook platform. We have a WhatsApp group as well that you can join if you feel like doing that. Let us know, what are the burning issues that you'd like us to try and address and maybe get some solutions and responses for you. We will try and do more of these sessions as well. So this was just the first one, a test bed, a chance to let you guys see the distillery office and also to meet each other in a cozier environment. But we look forward to doing more of these sessions, and again, if you have suggestions, let us know. More than happy to try and craft something which will appeal to as many people as possible. On behalf of Distillery, on behalf of SilverStreak.sg, thank you very much for being in this session. Thank you to the audience, the live stream audience on Facebook as well. And once again, thank you, the panelists, for being here, and to the audience for showing up as well. Thank you.